What is up, RotoGrinders? Welcome to, it's not Grinders Live exactly, it's not Crunch Time exactly, because it's an extended version of Crunch Time. We're going for an hour up the lock, 7 o'clock on the East Coast. DK left off the last game, because it's much later. The back half of the, it's an Amazon Prime doubleheader, OKC versus Minnesota. Ant is in, he was questionable early. Edwards going to go. That's his FanDuel only. Getting breaking news as we're jumping on the show. We'll talk about that here in a second. Running it back, that's the same combination platter we had on Wednesday nights. Kyle and Christy. Christy, happy Friday. How are things?
Things are good. Yeah, it's good. It's Friday. Glad for the weekend. Christmas is almost here. But yeah, it's good to do another show with you guys back to back.
Yeah, for sure. Breaking news, and you guys, we're going to be adjusting lineups here on the fly. People in the chat will be adjusting lineups as well. Hit that like button, do subscribe, turn on those notifications. Kyle doing a little multitasking. You know, he's on some projection stuff as well. The breaking news we just got is that Andrew Wiggins is not playing basketball tonight for Miami. Miami pretty thin. They already were missing some guys. We'll talk about that in a second. And additionally, Cleveland, the Cavs, they let us know that Mitchell is not playing. Donovan Mitchell is out for Cleveland. Also, Craig Porter unavailable. So it looks like Cleveland is down to 10. We're running back the show. Chicago and Cleveland, they're running back to the game. I think they played on Wednesday. Troubled times in Cleveland. Cleveland's been scuffling for sure. Last couple of years, they've been awesome during the regular season and flopping in the playoffs. Well, they've been pretty bad during the regular season. Maybe we'll get a midseason trade for them. We'll see how that goes. But Kyle, I know you're on top of projections. We're going to have this conversation. It's a fluid conversation. We're going to go game by game pretty quickly, and then we'll circle back and we'll do our position by position as well. I figure we have enough time for that. Last 10 minutes or so, we'll save for questions from the chat. If you want your questions prioritized, get that Discord channel, rotogrinders.com/Discord, the live stream chat channel, and those questions will be asked first. I have not even hit with the new projections, Kyle, as far as refresh. I imagine Miami is going to be pretty popular and Cleveland's going to be pretty popular. Was that correct? Are my expectations correct? Get the big spends if you want to Jalen Johnson or Brown. All of a sudden you have the salary for it. But is that what we're looking at? How are you seeing today's slate as far as an overview?
Yeah, Miami is certainly going to be popular, and they might even get more appealing here. We're still waiting on that Davion Mitchell news. So obviously, Hero has been out for a while. Larson's been out. Jovic been out. Wiggins is now out as well. And then, like I mentioned, Davion Mitchell's still questionable. So they could be really shorthanded here. And if Mitchell's out, they're really shorthanded in terms of ball handlers and guards. Obviously, they have Bam who can kind of do some of that. So it's not as crucial, but certainly an interesting spot from a minute standpoint. We're going to see a lot of guys maybe get some added minutes here. And, it's not the small slate that we had the other day where it was 2 games, but 5-game slate or 4-game slate on DraftKings, 5 games on FanDuel. It's still small enough to where, a guy who's playing 16, 17, 18 minutes could have some appeal on this short slate. So it's worth noting for sure as we go on.
I'm looking at all the lineups I ran. I added some variants and such, but yeah, it's a lot of Cleveland, more Cleveland than Miami on DK, but a lot of Miami as well. And then Jalen Johnson. You have the salary for Jalen Johnson. It's not hard to make him work if you want to make him work. Trae Young, of course, not playing basketball, back half of a back-to-back after his first game with Atlanta and FanDuel. Yeah, 4 of the top 6 plays are Cavaliers that I'm seeing as far as the lineups that are populating for me. Christy, anything big picture we want to say before we dive in and talk a little game by game?
Yeah, it will be kind of interesting to see how things shake out with Miami because, like you said, Cleveland is projecting very well right now, but Miami could look a little bit better too. And then it'll be interesting to see, before Boston, we were getting exposure to Boston in quite a few of the lineups too. Maybe some Derek White, maybe some Jaylen Brown over on FanDuel. So yeah, I think we're going to have some interesting decisions to make just with some value coming up on a couple of different major teams here on this small game slate.
Do we want to put Miami-Boston on the back burner for a second? Are we going to get Davion Mitchell news in the next 10 minutes? Probably not. Maybe. I guess it's possible. Let's talk Philly-New York first. That's a 7 o'clock game. They're both 7 o'clock games. So we'll talk about that one first. We'll circle back on Miami and Boston. 230.5. That's the total in New York. Well, I should say there's 10 teams playing tonight. 7 of the 10 teams are either on the front end or the back end of a back-to-back. So a lot of back-to-back stuff. Front end is Boston and Philadelphia. Back end, Atlanta, Miami, New York, OKC, San Antonio. New York ruled out some guys last night. Most of those guys are back. Mitch Robb, back half of a back-to-back. He did not play yesterday. He's not in the injured report, so he's expected to play. Josh Hart was injured last night. He's back. They gave him an abdominal. McBride, of course, still out. Shamit's still out. Cat is back with his he had a knee. He's good to go as far as Philadelphia. Joel Embiid, just not feeling well, so he's not playing tonight. That's the front half, I believe, of the prime doubleheader, if I'm not mistaken. Kelly Oubre, of course, still out. Watford still out. This seems like one of the more uneventful games, depending on where you're shopping. I guess even if you include the OKC Minnesota game, Christy, on FanDuel. Is this the least interesting game on the slate, especially considering the news we just got? I think it is.
I think it is too. I think it is. I think there's some guys that are going to come in lower owned, like that were maybe showing pretty well in projections before we got some of this news. But you have a guy like Paul George. He's played up to 33 minutes in each of his last 2 games. So, he was popping in to some of the lineups here earlier. Edgecombe, Tyrese Maxey, I think, is going to go overlooked, but he's averaged 54 fantasy points per game, and he's under 10K on DraftKings. So interesting tournament play over there. But yeah, I think this is a game that will get a little bit forgotten just because of some of the value that we're seeing come in.
How are you seeing this game, Kyle? Somebody I thought that was interesting earlier in the day. Don't really love the matchup with Mitch Robb not to be there, but Drummond's, the absence of Embiid, the price has not gone all the way down. But I think he's an interesting play for tournaments. Theoretically, you can get 18 rebounds, and some dunks and some other nonsense. But, Maxey's a great call by Christie. Should definitely be in your tournament pool, if nothing else. New York is playing the back half of a back-to-back. I believe they played, I guess that was a Tuesday, right? Tuesday. Yeah, so it's a 3rd and 4 nights for New York. Brunson's played hard all those games. I think OG as well. The other, Bridges plays every single game. Hart was out. Cat was out. So those guys a little bit well rested, so not necessarily chasing Clarkson or Kolek tonight with players being back. How do you see Philadelphia at New York, Kyle?
Yeah, I think it's still worth noting that New York was pretty careful even with Brunson. I know Bridges played 37 minutes last night, but OG Anunoby and Brunson were pretty limited, I would say. I mean, from a minutes perspective, Brunson almost got to 34. OG was right around 34. In a full go for these guys. They're playing 37, 38 minutes in a game that literally came down to the last second. So it's worth at least noting, I think, that we could see them, be careful about some of these starters' minutes. Obviously, Cat is dealing with an actual injury. Same thing with Hart. And then all these guys are just playing a ton of minutes in second half of a back-to-back. So I would note that, at least if that's something that you wanted to potentially play as a tournament angle or a tournament pivot, that would maybe lead me to guys like Clarkson or Kolek, maybe picking up a few extra minutes in that sort of narrative. But again, that's only if you're looking to play that from a game theory perspective. On the other side, I think there's some good plays here for Philly. I like Paul George and VJ Edgecombe here in the spot. Probably don't want to play those guys together. Same thing with Quentin Grimes. You're probably only wanting one of those 3, but I think those guys are all fairly appealing. Paul George's usage has been really high this year when either one of Embiid or Maxey are off the floor. So would expect him to get up a lot of shots tonight. And obviously, Maxey's always in play, especially when Embiid is off the slate or out. And then same thing with Drummond. I think he's fine. He's kind of priced to the point where he's not going to be that slam dunk play anymore. And he's not really playing mid-30s minutes like we saw him earlier because they have Bona back. But 28, 29 minutes for Andre Drummond, he's certainly in the player pool.
Yeah, comparing him to guys like Jared Allen and Keita and where would you have him versus those 4, give or take? I know the salaries aren't exactly the same.
Yeah.
But if those 4 kind of mid-tier centers, where would you put, or how would you rank those 4, I guess?
Ware is going to be the top option. The only real downside for Ware is the ownership. He's going to be very popular. And then, so I would rank him first unless you wanted to make the case to fade him because of ownership. And I would actually take Drummond second and then Keita third. I think they're both very close. So I think it would go Ware and then a little bit of a teardrop. And then those 2 guys. But again, you can make a case for, if you can find the salary to those guys, they're going to be half the ownership probably of Khalil Ware. So that's kind of how I would break it down.
I am refreshing lineup HQ. We'll get an ownership update, I'm sure, soon enough. But a lot of new inputs, in the last few minutes. So I imagine they're kind of tinkering and figuring that out. But I was trying to see who the best tournament play is in this game, New York and Philly. I know you mentioned a couple, Chrissy. Who's your favorite player in this game?
I do like Maxey, and I do like Paul George too. I do think that he's an interesting play. On the other side, not a ton of interest on New York, but I always kind of keep Jalen Brunson in my pool. I mean, he's scored 42 fantasy points in 7 straight games now, and if he gets the minutes, the upside is certainly there. So I like to keep him. If I'm playing at least 20 lineups, I like to keep him in my pool for sure. But a really intriguing play because he gets a big boost with Embiid out. And again, there's some good spend ups that we're looking at, like with Jalen Johnson, Jalen Brown, some of those guys that I think are going to carry more ownership tonight.
I like how Kyle says they gave Brunson a break by only playing him 34 minutes. Like you're right. Like they can push him for more, but
Right.
you want more than 34 minutes, I guess, if you're rostering Brunson. And maybe their game in 4 nights. We'll see. It's also a Amazon Prime game, which I imagine probably a few more commercials they work in there, so a little bit more breather, in between play. I don't know if any coaches factor that in, but that's something I kind of know for national TV games. We'll see. Let's talk about Miami and Boston. 231.5 is the total. Celtics are 7-point favorites. As far as Boston, Boston is essentially, they're fully healthy, right? Anybody of notes that, we expect has a chance to play tonight. Hauser's good to go. Minot is good to go. We talked about Miami, just like last night. No Tyler Hero with that toe. Jovic still dealing with his elbow. Pelly Larson's got an ankle. Norm Powell is on the injury report, but he's officially available with his calf. And we just got Wiggins out with a back. So really just a lot of opportunity for some other guys to pick up some slack and even potentially more with the midday downgrade of Davion Mitchell. So how you talked about it, Kyle, as far as Khalil Ware, who earlier in the day I thought was going to be kind of sneaky. And I talked him up yesterday. I love when there's a couple pieces out for Miami. He's got an opportunity. And he's not going to be sneaky at all tonight anymore because they're going to have to play him alongside Bam a good bit because of how thin they are, and even maybe even more in the absence of Davion Mitchell. We'll see. A potential absence. I shouldn't say absence because he's currently questionable. Yeah. How much Miami is too much Miami here, Kyle? Rank the Heat for me.
I mean, I think currently it could change quite a bit if Davion's ruled out, because if he's out, then that's going to really open up. I mean, we would probably be down to 8 or 9 guys at most in the rotation. I think right now we're projecting 9, and we'll have to see if they have anybody on a 2-way that can play tonight. So it's going to be potential 8-man rotation there for Miami. So should be seeing a lot of minutes for these guys. I think currently as things stand, it's actually not that appealing. Like the value pieces, I really like Khalil Ware, but yeah. I mean, Bam and Norm Powell, I think, are both good tournament plays, but there's a lot of really good plays in that range on this board. So I'm not, enamored with that. I guess we'll see the starting lineup. Right now we're projecting Fontecchio to start as well as Ware, but there are some other sources that are projecting maybe Jaime Jaquez gets to start here. I guess that potentially could make some sense. I will say if we see Davion Mitchell out, we'll probably see a good amount of Bam playing the point or at least doing some ball handling. And that would actually help him and Khalil Ware. So that would be an interesting development there. So I think like right now you can probably play 3 or 4 guys if you wanted to, but I think like 2 is probably the optimal range that I'm at right now. And then if Mitchell's out, that'll obviously change.
Yeah, Powell and Bam are not going to play any more minutes, basically. Maybe a couple, maybe 2 or 3 or something like that. So they're kind of sort of where they're at. Their rates might change just a little bit or so. But I think it's kind of like the second tier guys, like Ware you're talking about. If you want to bet on Fontecchio making some threes, certainly that would keep him in the game, but he's super reliant on that. Producer Steve saying in chat that no commercials, they throw ads at you mid-game. In the commercials, I don't know if you guys see this. If you ever watch a game on Amazon Prime, we're living in the future. You could just push a button and you can order from Amazon what they're advertising. Have you guys seen this? Are you aware of this? You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Now, has anybody broken down and ordered it? Has anybody been sold in the 15 seconds or so, the 30 seconds or so? I've yet to do that, but
not yet.
No, not yet.
It makes a lot of sense. I guess it's part of the reason why they got the the rights to the games, I suppose. Yeah, Christy, talk about the Heat and as well as the Celtics. Slowest pace in basketball, Boston. Fastest pace in basketball, Miami. So, it's a huge up in pace game for Boston. And, Jaylen Brown, I think he has the 3rd highest usage in the NBA behind Luka and Giannis. So he seems well positioned, and we certainly have the salary to do so. I had the idea earlier today playing at least one of Pritchard, White, or Brown. I feel like at least one of them gets there in every single lineup. Play at least one of those 3 against Miami with the furious pace Christy, how are you seeing Miami and the Celtics?
Yeah, for the Celtics side, I'm kind of the same way. I was looking to probably get one piece of that, and I do like Jaylen Brown the best. Um, yeah, he's just been phenomenal. He's scored 50 fantasy points now in 8 of his last 9 games, and so he's just been great spend up option. Derek White has been playing much better too. He's kind of a decent mid-range play. I don't play a lot of Pritchard, so he was a guy I was really not getting a lot to tonight. It was more one of Brown or White, which I still think are very good plays. On the other side, I'm kind of like Kyle. Like I expected maybe to like Miami just a little bit more, knowing that they're very shorthanded tonight. But I love the Ware call that you guys talked about. He's going to be very, very popular, but he's going to be a great choice. Jaime Jaquez is always a great choice too. See if he enters the starting lineup, but both Ware and Jaquez priced pretty similarly, at least over on FanDuel. And then Powell too, like we said, he's not going to really get much more on the minute side, but he's certainly a great play too. Yeah, I'm probably looking to target at least right now until we see where Davion Mitchell comes in. Probably trying to get a couple pieces of the Miami Heat side and still looking to get one piece of that Boston game too with either Jaylen Brown or Derek White.
Yeah, White coming off a season high, 31 points in the bucket last game. Keeping an eye on the socials, trying to see if we can get some news as far as lineups, because we're going up to the bell. Some of these games will start lock in 40 minutes. No news just yet, unfortunately, on Miami and Mitchell. Did you see, Kyle? Did you see the news today? Or they're talking about injury reports? I'm sure you saw that Shams reported. They're trying to get the teams to report more between 11 in the morning and 1 o'clock in the afternoon every 15 minutes or so. Is this just nonsense? Is anything going to change here, or that's just for the media and to make it seem like they're doing something?
I mean, if the teams actually take it for what it's supposed to be, then I think it will change some things. But it also comes down to, I mean, we see it time in and time out, right, where guys are not on the injury report and then they're added really late. So it's going to come down to that. And I think maybe the teams will start getting looked at more if they are having those situations arise. But I mean, right now, like from what we're doing DFS wise, I think it's probably a little bit more impactful from a betting perspective. But DFS wise, I don't think it changes too much because we're not really building lineups until later in the day anyway. And that's sort of when the more reliable reports start to come out. But it will be helpful having it every 15 minutes rather than every hour.
Yeah. And not to get too far off the rails, Shams also reporting about potential for player props, limiting unders, which would be a disaster. Like just have a one-way market. I don't think they realize how terrible that of an idea is. And the population of players, maybe they'll probably cut out some of this is what they're suggesting, and who knows when they follow, but something of note. Also, something about tanking. They're going to try to stop tanking. They figured it out. No, they didn't. It's never. They did not figure. There's no perfect solution, unfortunately. It is what it is. Okay, I'm derailing the show. My apologies. Chicago, Cleveland, 237.5. That's the total. Cleveland is a 5.5 point favorite here. We're running this game back from Wednesday. Who's in and who's out? Well, we just got the Mitchell news. That's a big deal. Mitchell not playing for Cleveland tonight. We're projecting to start for the Cavs, Garland, Hunter to re-enter the starting lineup, Tyson, Wade, and Jared Allen. 10 players total. Lonzo will be like the sixth man. We're projecting 28, 29 minutes or so there. The rest of the injury report, Mobley, of course, is still out, which is a big deal. We've not seen Strus all season long. Sam Merrill, of course, still not available for Cleveland. The Bulls, Collins is good to go. DeSumu's good to go. Trey Jones is good to go. And there was a note that 24 minutes they're going to cap those guys. Jones and DeSumu around 24 minutes or so. Christy, what do we like about Chicago and the Cavs?
Yeah, so with Chicago, right now, like Vucevic, I mean, his price has really come down. He's coming off of a really big game too. And we're getting a pretty big discount too. He had a big game against Cleveland, just 5,800 over on FanDuel, just looking at those prices right now. I think he's going to be fairly popular at the center option. Josh Giddey, I know we talked him up a little bit on Wednesday's slate, on the small game slate, and just always a good tournament option. Trying to see our ownership here. I think we've got him projected, around 10%? Does that sound right?
We just got a new batch, I think. So just give it a refresh.
Okay.
Maybe it's changed. But that's what I'm
Yeah.
doing right now. You caught me right now refreshing lineup HQ.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think Josh Giddey is always somebody, that you want to have exposure, and especially if you're playing more than one lineup, he's just a guy that's capable of a high ceiling. He can easily put 60, 65 fantasy points up. So don't mind that. And Kobe White too is a fine GPP option too. He's starting to see his minutes trend up a little bit. And so far this season, he's had a 30% usage rate. So good to see there. And then obviously on the Cleveland side, this is where I think we're going to see a lot of pieces, and a lot of our early optimals that we're putting together are coming in with a lot of times 4 pieces of Cleveland. So Darius Garland obviously was a great play even before we got the Mitchell news, but he's been great with Mobley out. Jared Allen was looking extremely good too, so he's going to be a great play. Lonzo Ball is going to be one of the top value plays. Like you said, we've got him projected for around 29 minutes, and so I think he's going to be projecting very well, and we're going to see him in most optimals tonight too. Then I think where you get a little bit different too, I do think Hunter is pulling into some lineups, but I have a lot of interest in Jalen Tyson. I know we talked a little bit about him on Wednesday as well, and I just think he's a phenomenal tournament play. His price is up there a bit, but he's had at least 30 fantasy points in 4 of his last 5 games. So certainly warranted there. And with all these missing bodies tonight on the Cleveland side, I want to get exposure to him. But I think you're going to see guys like Garland, Allen, Lonzo Ball hit a lot of our optimals tonight.
Yep, the ones I'm running, 4 Cavs in the first, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm running on DK, and you can't get more than 4 on FanDuel, and that's what it's getting. It's 4 Cavs on the FanDuel lineup. So, yeah, the Cavs are going to be super popular. It's the perfect storm of limited players and great matchup versus Chicago. Can you power rank, Kyle? Can you power rank the Cavs? Point per dollar. Looks like we're seeing Lonzo is one of the best plays. Garland right there as well. Jared Allen. A lot of these guys have been bad, right? Garland's not been great. Jared Allen, the fingers. I don't. This is a great matchup historically against Chicago, just not great. Hunter's been terrible too, but they just kind of need him to jump back in the starting lineup, presumably. If nothing else, he'll be the 6th man. But we're projecting him to start. Can you rank these Cavs for me, Kyle?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that there are some different paths you can take in terms of playing this team. I mean, obviously Darius Garland is going to be the guy that everyone looks at, and it looks like Tyrese Proctor is going to start. So that's going to change some things.
So no Hunter?
It could be no Wade. So it could be Hunter or Wade moving to the bench here. I mean, Dean Wade's just a pylon out there anyway, so they don't really need him. He just sits in the corner. But so it could be either one of those guys, but they could move Hunter back as a 6th man, which would actually help him, I think. This helps. I mean, obviously it helps Tyrese Proctor, makes him maybe the best play on the slate from a value perspective. I was going to talk him up before that news. So obviously bumping him up minutes is only going to help him now. I still like Lonzo Ball though. Lonzo has had no shyness in terms of chucking, especially from 3. He hasn't made many this year. He is one of the worst efficiency players on the team from 3, but the volume's gonna be there if he can get hot, which might feel like a stretch at this point, but if he can get hot, we could easily see him have a 5-6 3-point game. So I liked Proctor, I like Lonzo Ball, but the way you could play it from an interesting perspective is maybe to not play Darius Garland, who I think is going to be the one that everyone goes to. And the reason why I say that is because you have so many guys around him who could score, and Darius Garland is going to get a usage bump, but he's not necessarily this huge scorer. So if you go out there and you get 20 points from DeAndre Hunter, you get 16, 17 points from Jalen Tyson, a couple other guys get hot, you get 17, 18 points from Jared Allen, and Darius Garland just has a normal game, 19, 20 points, but you have all these other players at just a lower price tag. I think you can make a case for doing that and then not playing Garland, using that salary elsewhere. So that's one way I'm approaching it. I don't want to come across as not liking Darius Garland. I think he's still a fantastic option. But that is one way that I've been considering playing the slate. But if I had to rank them out right now, I would go Proctor, then Ball, then Garland, then Jared Allen, then Tyson, then DeAndre Hunter. But if Hunter's coming off the bench and we get lower ownership, I'll like him even more because I think coming off the bench actually helps him. And usually the public will decrease their interest in the player if he's coming off the bench.
Davion Mitchell out, so Miami's going to get loose. More work for you, Kyle, but 20 minutes. You have 20 minutes for Proctor before this. What's he going to jump to, 23, 24, 25?
I had him at 26
Okay.
initial run. It's going to depend on who he's replacing. If he's in for Dean Wade, I think that helps him even more because they could easily just not play Dean Wade. Like I know I called him a pylon, but I truly meant it. Like they don't need him on the floor. So if he goes to the bench, Dean Wade could go from 26 minutes down to 14 and not really change the aspect of the team too much. So that's going to kind of depend on who he replaces.
Do you want to give me your favorite bull as well? Favorite run back for Chicago is who?
It's Giddey. I think Trey Jones is fine. I know he did well for us off the show last time, but I think it's still going to be Giddey for me.
All right, let's knock out this last game of the DK slate. Kyle, let you get a chance to update the Miami stuff. Spurs, Atlanta, 238.5 is the total. Spurs are 4-point favorites here in Atlanta. I thought they would do something weird with Wembanyama, but it appears like there's no back-to-back resting. It's just they're playing him minimal minutes. Essentially, that's what's going on there for San Antonio. So his price is still just too high in my estimation. Everybody's healthy for San Antonio that matters. As far as the Hawks, of course, they have no Trae Young. Trae Young ruled out after playing last night for the first time in a while. And no Kristaps, no Porzingis, right? I'm not seeing Porzingis on the injury report. Oh, there he is. Okay, I was just missing him. Yeah, he's still out with that illness. I knew he wasn't playing. Only 10 guys available for Atlanta. Christy, matchup here versus San Antonio. Pretty good environment. How do you see the Hawks and the Spurs?
Yeah, so for the Hawks, obviously Jalen Johnson is one of the top spend ups, scoring over 70 fantasy points in 5 of the last 8 games. He's just been phenomenal and putting up some more assists and things like that too. So I think he's a phenomenal spend up option for us. And with Young being out, it certainly makes Nickeil Alexander-Walker, especially over on FanDuel. He was kind of popping in a lot of the optimals, and he's just 6K over there. With Young out, I just think he's just a great option, and he has a pretty good ceiling too. So I like that. I think Dyson Daniels is somebody you can get exposure to as well. More of a tournament play for me. I would rather get exposure to Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but yeah, probably Jalen Johnson and Nickeil Alexander-Walker are 2 of my favorite plays. I think throwing in the tournament pool, I think Okongwu, with Porzingis out, he gets a pretty good usage bump there. So I know when I was just kind of running some optimals here too, he snuck into a few of those. So I think that's a fine play. On the Spurs side, they obviously get a good matchup too. Second half of a back-to-back for them. A guy that I've been playing a decent amount coming off the bench is Dylan Harper. And I think, Dean, maybe you had mentioned him earlier today and you're right up too, but he's cheap. He's been playing well and usually gets some run even in blowouts and things like that. So I like that. More of tournament play for me would be Stephon Castle. You could throw him in there, but for me on the San Antonio side, more probably just looking at Harper tonight.
Question in chat, is Proctor out? No, Proctor is not out. Proctor is actually expected to start. No official lineup just yet for Cleveland. We did get Philadelphia. It's Maxey, Edgecombe, George, Barlow, and Drummond starting for Philly. Yeah, that's exactly what we had projected there for Philadelphia. Kyle, do we give you enough time as far as figuring out Miami?
Yeah, we're going with yeah, so for me, we do have a couple of these two-way players available, so it's not going to be – we're going to have 10 guys in rotation with one guy only getting – with Golden just getting 1 hedge minute. So it's going to be still pretty thin. Ended up seeing some bumps to guys like small bumps in minutes, half a minute bump to guys like Powell and Bam. So nothing crazy for them. So it's going to be Drew Smith that gets a big minutes bump. Fontecchio feels good. But I think the main thing is Khalil Ware's minutes feel really safe now, which is not something that we're used to for Khalil Ware. He can be very up or down. So that changes the whole dynamic of Khalil Ware, where if they were going to be having more bodies available, that could be a spot where you could potentially look to fade him and hope that it's one of those games where he doesn't get the minutes. I think it's pretty tough for him not to get minutes. I put him at 31. That update is getting pumped into the site now, so should be in there if it's not already any minute. But Jaquez, we put up to 32 minutes. So all these guys now look a lot better. So now the one thing that you could potentially consider is a potential blowout fade of the top guys, and then really just backloading some of these value guys. The spread only moved to 7.5, so not a super relevant idea. But on a 5-game slate or 4-game slate on DraftKings, at least something to consider.
10 bodies for Miami. Amongst those 10, Vladislav Golden, Myron Gardner, and the rookie Yakubonis, who's, he's not a lottery pick, but first round pick. I know there's a lot of people like him, but obviously pretty raw. He's been hurt for a good bit. It should be a really, really tight rotation for Miami, assuming this game stays close. Even if Jaquez comes off the bench, still probably going to play 30 minutes or so. You got Smith projecting really, really well. Good defensive player, right? Kind of a classic 3-and-D, I suppose. Your thoughts as far as San Antonio, Atlanta, Kyle? You didn't really give your thoughts there. I know. I wanted to get the update on Miami.
Oh, look, sorry. Jaquez is starting, so Fontecchio is not starting, and Kasparis, I don't know how to say his last name. The Illinois rookie, he's starting, not Drew Smith. So that's another massive update.
Okay.
For what it's worth, I don't know how to say his name.
I think it's Yakubonis.
All right, yeah. I trust you. He entered the rotation for the first time last game, but only played 8 minutes. So worth noting that they probably, have had some reason to want him to play more now that he's starting. So probably feel decent about his minutes. I still think Drew Smith will potentially outplay him minutes wise, even though he's not starting. But you feel better about his minutes now.
Interesting. Yeah. Can you give me just 30 seconds or a minute or so as far as San Antonio and Atlanta?
Yeah. Love Jalen Johnson per usual. I think he's a triple-double threat. I mean, he put up a triple-double or close to it at least, even with Trae Young back and only played 20 minutes. But Trae Young out of the equation now, so I love him. Okongwu and Alexander Walker also both good plays, but they also could be a little bit lost in the shuffle now with all these new plays. But they're both mid-range guys, so I think that we might see that ownership come down. We did have a good amount of ownership on Alexander Walker, but regardless, still an interesting maybe ownership spot for Okongwu and Alexander Walker. And then Dylan Harper, I know Christy mentioned him. I love Dylan Harper tonight. Still think this 4.8 price tag is just too cheap. He's super efficient. So even if he only plays 24, 25 minutes, he can put up 30, 35 DK points really quick. And at 4.8, and now he's probably going to have some ownership decrease with his newfound value. So Harper is one of my favorite plays on the board.
And non-FanDuel specifically is like $700 cheaper than he is on DK. It looks really, really good. We'll do a position by position stuff really quick as well in a second. All right. I think we can scoot along and talk about the last game on the slate. This is FanDuel and FanDuel only. We'll circle back. We'll quickly go position by position, kind of a recap. We'll answer your questions as well. Fire after questions in the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord, the live stream chat channel. That's where questions are prioritized. Okay, this is FanDuel only. OKC at Minnesota, 232.5. That is the total. The Thunder are 8-point favorites here, playing a back-to-back and traveling on the road. Do we get Aaron Wiggins officially clarified? Last I saw, he is questionable.
I know questionable.
Okay, that's what I thought. Jalen Williams, not the good Jalen Williams, is out with a heel. What do we call them? Jay Will? What's
Jalen with the Y is what I call him.
Okay, yeah. And
but one's Jay Will and one's J Dub for the Thunder fans. Yeah,
J Dub. That's what I was. Yeah, okay, so I got it right. J Dub's the good one, right?
Yes.
Clark was ruled out for Minnesota. Conley, of course, still unavailable. And Edwards, he is officially questionable in the injury report, but I thought I saw one of the beats or somebody say he is going to play tonight. Christy, get us started here. OKC, Minnesota, FanDuel only. What do you got?
Yeah, not a lot. I mean, as appealing as the Timberwolves were on Wednesday night, there was a lot of guys that we liked with DiVincenzo and Gobert. They have a really tough matchup here against the Thunder. So I don't have a ton of interest here, especially if Anthony Edwards does play tonight. To me, it's just one of those teams you probably can fade. Dante DiVincenzo is a guy that I've been playing quite a bit this year. Rudy Gobert was a guy I liked the other night, and he went off for over 50 fantasy points. But I just don't see a lot here. Not really getting to Julius Randle on the Minnesota side. And then the Thunder too, they have a fairly difficult matchup too against the Timberwolves. I guess you can make a case for SGA, but I just think there's other spend-up options that are looking better. We kind of talked about some of those guys with Jalen Johnson, Jaylen Brown, and, guys like Tyrese Maxey. I'd rather get exposure to some of those guys that are a little bit more expensive than some of the spend-ups on the OKC side. So I don't mind fading this game. I just see better plays in some other games that we talked about prior. So not getting a lot of exposure here.
Yeah, the best case you can make is just the ownership game on FanDuel. Shea currently at less than 10%, 9%. What if he plays the
that's
fourth
pretty
quarter?
low.
I think the best case you can make. I understand that math-wise doesn't really check out, but and he doesn't play the fourth quarter like in half the games because they smashed too hard in the first three. I think he missed it last night too, if I'm not mistaken. They shellacked the Clippers by 20-21 or something like that. Kyle, thoughts as far as OKC, Minnesota? If anything else, right? It just seems like a pivot game off the chalk because if you're just hitting optimize, you're not going to get basically anything in this game.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the main interest for me is SGA, just because the fact that this is one of the closer spreads we've seen for the Thunder. And it's really weird because they actually haven't been that good against the spread, but they're still winning. The spreads are just always so massive for the Thunder. And even last night they gave the Clippers a 10-2 head start, and they still ended up winning, I think maybe by 20, at least double digits. So the team is just so dominant. So I wouldn't be surprised if they still blow this Minnesota team out, but I think with the 7.5 point spread, at least a little bit more interested in SGA. He's probably the only guy that I'm really getting a ton of love for. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me on that game.
Do want to mention brand new product here at RG, Pick Labs. Pick Labs, the newest feature. It lets you scan the best player prop and pick 'em bets in just seconds. Everything is broken down for you. It is dummy proof from the edges and win rates to value. It's a clean board. I was just looking at this before the show, showing which plays actually stand out across sports books and sites like Prize Picks, Underdog, if you're in their player prop streets. And when you see something you like, Pick Labs, it will actually build the slip for you. Just click on it, and it'll send you straight to the site. Right now, you actually get this for free. Pick Labs, completely free on RG through December 28th. Merry Christmas. RotoGrinders.com/Pick Labs. Go ahead and just click on that, and you can build. It'll tell you this play, so-and-so for rebounds has got a 67% chance of going over, and it's looking like a pretty good bet. And it'll go ahead and build it for you. And I just had a chance to mess around with it before the show, and looking forward to playing with that and hitting up some player prop streets. Okay. Again, rotogrinders.com/Pick Labs. It's free now for the next 9-10 days. Position by position, let's do this pretty quickly. I want to save 10 minutes for questions from the people. Kyle, let's just go we're going to combine FanDuel and DK. And if you see anything that's distinctly different on FanDuel, feel free to tell me. Distinctly different on FanDuel. This player is so much better here. Not nearly as good, yada, yada. But point guards on FanDuel. No, let's go DK as the main, and then we'll pivot off FanDuel if necessary. But Kyle, talk about point guards specific to DraftKings and FanDuel if necessary.
Yeah, I think the big question is between these two rookie point guards here. I'll let you say the guy's name again because I still don't have it.
Jakobonis?
Yep, we'll go with that. So him or versus Tyrese Proctor, that's like the main discussion. I think I'll probably just either play both of them or let it be decided by a tiebreaker. For what's worth, I don't think you need to play both. Once you play one of those guys, it's pretty easy to build your lineups elsewhere. But again, if you play Proctor, you can play a couple other Cavs and maybe lean into a Darius Garland fade if you want to. I know that's maybe a scary proposition tonight, but if you're looking to be contrarian, that is a quick way to do so. And then playing Drew Smith is also a good leverage play. I think, again, I ended up projecting them for pretty similar minutes because, again, when he's starting, it's tough to go against that. But Drew Smith off the bench, I still would not be surprised if he ends up playing either equal or more minutes, even off the bench. So still like him quite a bit at 3.8. And I think maybe you can make a case that he got even better as a play because the ownership will be now off of him. Dylan Harper, we've talked about. Lonzo Ball, probably can't get to anymore on this slate. I still think if you're doing a 150 build, he's in the player pool. But point guard is really, really strong. But when he's $100 cheaper than Dylan Harper, who I actually think is a good player, I'll take my chances with Dylan Harper.
I kind of agree with your assessment. There's a pretty good chance Jakobonis probably does not close. Assuming this game is close, probably a better chance it's like Drew Smith out there for defensive purposes, or maybe Fontecchio if they need to fire off some threes. But, it's hard to say. There's some guesswork here, obviously. Christy, as far as anything, as far as point guards, feel free to add on to what Kyle said and then jump to shooting guards.
Yeah, I like the Dylan Harper call. I know we've talked about that quite a bit. I just think, I know he's got going to carry a decent amount of ownership, but I just think he's a great play and really too cheap over on DraftKings at just 4,800. Tyrese Proctor, obviously a great play, super cheap on both sites. And I do think it's, interesting. Kyle talked a little bit about, even fading Darius Garland a little bit and getting to some of those other plays. I do think that is an interesting tournament option because he will be the most popular point guard. He is a great play, but you could get a little bit different there. I do think the more that I've kind of looked at it too, I do think, I do like Tyrese Maxey. I have a little bit of interest in him because he is under 10K. So again, 20 entry max type tournaments and more. I think getting exposure to him is definitely a good idea. So yeah, those are the guys I like. I don't think we'll see as much ownership on a guy like Derek White at point guard on DraftKings. We'll probably see a little bit more of him played over on FanDuel, kind of in the shooting guard spot. But yeah, looking for some of that cheap Cleveland value here.
Kyle, shooting guards, then talk about small forwards.
Yeah, we do have some carryover, but I think from a value perspective, he's not quite a value play, but Jaquez does grade out as a strong value. Alexander Walker, I think, is a guy who I haven't seen the updated ownership yet. I'll have to go look at that. But again, I would expect he's maybe a guy that has lost some steam. And if that's the case, I like him quite a bit. He looked really good even last night with Trae Young in the lineup. He's going to have more usage, more touches, and more minutes. So I like him in a good matchup against the Spurs. Edgecombe is still an interesting tournament play. Again, probably only a tournament option just because of the fact that we have so many of these plays projecting really well, and he's more of an upside guy that doesn't have as strong of a median projection, but he's certainly in the player pool for me as well.
Depends where you're shopping, around 40% on FanDuel and around 30% on DK. A little bit better on FanDuel than DK. Christy, if we can get the forwards, all the forwards, the small ones and the power ones.
Yeah, so looking at the forwards, here's where you're going to see Jalen Johnson project very, very well, and he's probably one of my favorite spend-up options too. Again, no Trae Young. He's just been putting up a ton of points, as we kind of mentioned and talked about earlier. So I like him. I think Jaylen Brown obviously is a great spend-up option on the forward side. So like getting exposure there. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I'm getting all the exposure over on FanDuel. It's just, at 6K, it's really hard to pass up, even with some of this other value on the slate. Jalen Tyson, too, I think is a great play. I've seen him just kind of running some optimals here. He's popping into some of them, so I definitely want to get some exposure there. Let's see here. Forward side, who else? Paul George, talked about him. I mean, he really is too cheap, and it'll be interesting to see where his ownership kind of shakes out. But I do still have interest in him, and I think it's going to come down again with some of the Miami value that we're seeing, some of the Cleveland value that we're seeing. So I think Paul George is a fantastic play as well.
By the way, just want to mention the Pick Labs that I was talking about earlier. Producer Steve dropped a link in chat, so if you didn't hear me actually say it, the exact address. If you want to see what Pick Labs is all about, again, it's brand new. It's free for the next 8-9 days or so till the 28th, I believe, of December. Go ahead and check out that link there in chat. Kyle, forwards, what do you got for me?
Yeah, a lot of names that I've already mentioned. Jalen Johnson's my favorite spend up on the board. The value guys are the guys who are in the mid tier that are projecting really well. Jaquez, Alexander Walker, Jalen Tyson. I don't know if I've actually said his name, but I do like him again. And then a guy who I know I haven't mentioned is Devin Vassell. If you're not playing Dylan Harper, just because of the fact that you have all these guards that are really strong values, Devin Vassell, some of that is certainly interesting at 5'3". All the things that we've said about Dylan Harper can carry over with the matchup and the game environment stuff. Vassell not as good at doing other things other than scoring compared to Dylan Harper, but he can easily go out there and score 25 points any given night. So Vassell is someone that I like as well.
The Knicks waited till 6:48 to tell us their lineup, and nothing different. Just they had to wait this long. It's Brunson, Bridges, OG, Hart, and Towns. Kyle, do you have any rules you would implement? And I don't know if you're running a bunch of lineups, if you're putting in rules or not. You're making one or two lineups, notes. If you happen to be running a script of some sorts, if you're going on lineup HQ and running 50 lineups, anything that kind of stands out to you, like limiting a certain couple players to one or two.
I mean, for me, I'm only playing one lineup tonight, but I touched on the Philly rule where I would probably only want one of George Edgecombe or Quentin Grimes. For New York, I would probably only want one of Josh Hart, Bridges, and OG Anunoby, and then maybe even make the case for only one of Brunson and Towns, just because of other spend ups on the board. In that game, those are the ones that really stick out for me. I would potentially consider making the rule maybe one of Drew Smith or Jacobonis. Is that?
I think that's what it is. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it.
I don't even see a B in there, but I'm hearing a B from you. I think that's what's confusing me so much.
That's something, and I did look this up, and you don't hear the name often, but yeah, I was confused by the B as well. But unless the internet lied to me, I didn't actually hear him say it.
Yeah, it's certainly not a slam dunk. That's for sure.
Yeah. It did throw me off as I should have reinvestigated, but that was the first thing I saw. But one of Jacobonis and Drew Smith, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And if you're not playing Jacobonis and you're not, I mean, obviously you would probably have Tyrese Proctor in your lineup, but you can also make a case for then saying you want Drew Smith if you're not having Jacobonis, because again, Drew Smith's probably becoming one of my favorite tournament plays on the board, just with the way news has come out. So, yeah.
Christy, different question. I assume I don't know, you're hand building or not, but are you making a rule? How many cabs are you willing to play 4 in one lineup? Are you capping it at 3? How many cabs are you willing to play in one lineup?
Yeah, I'm not multi-entering tonight, but I think I'd probably, just kind of looking at the single entry that I have right now, I've got 3.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you hit optimize, it's going to give you 4, but I think I'm with you. I think 3 is probably.
I think 3 is pretty good.
We got to knock out centers. We got to answer your questions and chat. Again, load those questions up in the Discord channel, rotogrinders.com/Discord, live stream chat channel. Most of our Discord channels are free. That, of course, it'd be a free one. It'd be cruel if that wasn't free. Why would I even tell you that? It's a free one. There are some other Discord channels that are going to cost you. You got to be a full-fledged member, but that one is free. Otherwise, knock it out there in the YouTube. I'll circle back on YouTube. Hit that like button while you're at it. Do want to hit centers before we pivot to questions, Christy. How do you feel about the centers tonight?
Yeah, so for centers tonight, obviously kind of depends on site too. Like over on FanDuel, Jared Allen looks good. I mean, he looks good on both sites, but looks really good over there at just 6,100. So I like that. Vucevic, it'll be interesting to see where he kind of comes into play. He might not pick up as much ownership, especially with some of the Miami. You've got, especially over on FanDuel, where you've got Ware and Jaquez that have multi-position eligibility over there. But I do like Vucevic. And again, he flashed a ceiling more so on FanDuel. He's priced up a little bit more at 6,600 over on DraftKings. Okongwu, I still think is a great tournament play. And someone that I want to get some exposure to. Let's see here. Ware obviously is phenomenal. We've talked about him. He's really cheap over on DraftKings, and we're going to see a big ownership percentage for him tonight. But yeah, those are largely the guys that I'm looking at.
Ware 45% on DK. I wrote him up earlier today in the survey.
It's crazy.
Like my sneaky tournament play. I guess he's not so sneaky anymore, but all the dominoes are falling in his favor. Anything you want to add there, Kyle, as far as centers?
No, I mean, I think that's pretty much Chrissy broke it down pretty as well as you could have. I think Khalil Ware and Jared Allen are my 2 favorites. I think that's pretty much all I would have to add. I will say, building lineups and looking at some optimals across the industry, not seeing as much Khalil Ware as I would have guessed, just because of the fact that some of these guards are getting some more attention, which it's crazy as it seems. There's probably some more volatility, maybe not with Proctor, but with some of these cheap guard plays than there is with Khalil Ware's minutes, which is interesting, which probably not something that we're often going to say about Khalil Ware. But Khalil Ware has a legit 15-15 upside.
And
especially, 5 blocks. Yeah. So, and if Bam is playing more point guard, that's only going to help Khalil Ware's rebounding upside. So, I mean, I don't want to go crazy, but he has maybe 20 rebound upside in this matchup, which it's not a great matchup, by the way, but that's just how good he is on a permanent basis. And I feel really good about his minutes. So he's a guy that maybe is getting squeezed a little bit, and a guy who I'm maybe even making more of a priority now.
I will say he's getting squeezed more on FanDuel, where he's 5'8".
He is.
Think of a different price. 5'8" over there. Much, much easier to get him on DK. Okay, Kyle, I have a 3v3 for you in the Discord channel from Test 3v3 DK single entry tournaments. Yacobonis, Johnson, I assume it's Jalen Johnson, Tyson. So Tyson, Yacobonis, Tyson versus Drew, Cat, and Nah.
The first one is for sure going to have more ownership, but it also projects a lot better. So I'll go with the first one. But if you're looking to get different, the second one would be the better option. But I like the first one as a more optimal build.
All right, Christy. Jim wants to know here in the chat, one lineup. Can you play Castle and Vassell in the same lineup?
I probably wouldn't, just because there's so much, better value on some of these teams that I probably would just get to one tonight.
Kyle, DK Cash, 2v2. Tomlin and Ware versus Harper and Yacobonis.
Tomlin might not play much tonight, so I'll go with the second one.
Achilles wants to know if Ware is a lock for DK Cash. I assume he is. I'm assuming he's hitting. Yeah, I mean, he looks like a really, really strong play in DK Cash. Yeah, I don't like saying lock, but yeah, I would play him in cash games tonight. Christy, FanDuel tournaments from Jay Sams. Do you think it's okay to play Okungwu and Na together? I have Harper as a run back. Can you play Okungwu and Na in the same lineup? I think you can play them together, right?
Absolutely. And I've seen some lineups that I was kind of messing with too. And yeah, absolutely. I think they're both fine.
Kyle, Jim just says Drummond ? He's going to be lost. And I don't like him fighting against Mitrob, but he's got a chance to talk about 20 rebound opportunities. He's got a shot. Yeah,
I would probably say I would need at least 10, 15, maybe even 20 lineups to get to Drummond, just because, Jared Allen's $400 more. So, and for what it's worth, Dean Wade is starting. So DeAndre Hunter off the bench. I talked about that earlier. Yep. I think that makes Hunter better. I think Hunter's a good tournament play. He's been really bad as of late, but if you're looking for a guy who can go out there and score 25 points, especially if he's going to play in a depleted usage unit, Hunter could have a lot of shots tonight.
I was just jumping over to the YouTube, and that was the first question I saw. Thoughts on Andre Hunter if he's not starting? Well, thank you for answering that. Lippy wants to know, Christy, Ant is just asking, has to be single-digit ownership. Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah.
How do we feel? Could he potentially? Obviously, the matchup is tough. He's been dealing with an injury, but we're looking at 7% ownership. I know you're not, but hypothetically, if you're running like 100 lineups, would you be over 7% on Ant on FanDuel?
I think you have to be, if you're playing a lot of lineups like that. Just when you get opportunities to get someone with his ceiling and upside, I think you take it. So, yep, I can see that.
Kyle, I got a 3v3 for you. DK tournaments. Justin here in the YouTube. Proctor, Kobe White, and Na versus Jalen Johnson and a couple cheapies. Jalen Johnson and Drew Smith and Bona. Are we getting to Bona?
He almost had me until Bona because I do like Drew Smith. I obviously love Jalen Johnson, but can't play Bona on this slate, so we'll go with the first one.
I think there's other ways to get there. You find a different way to get there because there's other cheapies, obviously different positions.
Yeah.
Frederick, question for you, Christy, in the chat. Ball or Harper DK tournaments for guards? You prefer Ball or Harper?
I'm going Harper.
Did we touch on AU and Trey Jones being limited as far as 24 minutes? We mentioned it, and in part, I think that's why I'm guessing we're not terribly interested in Trey Jones or Kasumu. Yeah, I think we're just kind of crossing him out. Is Wemby starting? I don't know. Do we have a San Antonio lineup? I assume he's not.
Nope, he's not. We just got that one. It's still Barnes and Cornette.
Okay. Yeah. Fox, Castle, Vassell, Barnes, Cornette. Yeah, Wemby for the foreseeable future. I know we can average 2 fantasy points per minute, but seems to be overpriced right now. Kyle, question for you. 6,800 left in utility. DK single entry. Who's the best play? We don't know who he has in the lineup here for Mr. Richard, but DK, 6,800 left. DK single entry. Who is the best player available for you in your estimation?
Jared Allen or Nickeil Alexander-Walker, if you already have Allen.
Yacobonis or Proctor, DK small field, Christy. Yacobonis or Proctor, DK small field tournaments.
I think I'm going Proctor.
You're just making 1 or 2 lineups or so, Christy. Who's the player you're most afraid of not having? You can only play so many. There's a lot of good plays tonight. Who's going to beat you that you don't have tonight?
Oh, a guy that I'm probably coming in less than the field is Derek White tonight. I just don't have as much, interest in him as I thought I might.
Same question for you, Kyle. Who's the player that just didn't land in your lineup that you're afraid, Obviously, you know it's a good play. There's more than enough plays to fill your lineup. Who are you afraid of not having?
I'm fading Darius Garland in my main lineup. I know it's not the smartest move. I can't necessarily feel confident recommending that to others, but the way I'm doing it is I have DeAndre Hunter, Jared Allen, Tyrese Proctor, and then I'm spending up with guys like Jalen Johnson and Jalen Brown. Yeah, I was debating between Brown and Maxey, so you can even do that as well. But Garland's the one that I'm going with.
Down to a minute or so. So let's make these quick. There's some questions here in the Discord channel, Christy. Steve wants to know GPP dart throw, Vic Krejci. Only 10 players for Atlanta. They're short as well. I'm guessing he's not in your lineup, but do you have any interest in Vic Krejci?
He's not in my lineup. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess if you land on him kind of a last piece, sure. But yeah, he's not somebody that I've gotten to.
Kyle, Blink 182 Rue wants to know if he can play Jared Walsh in large field DK tournaments. Jared Walsh.
No, I mean, yeah, he's just like Jordan Walsh has been fantastic, and he's a player that I actually liked coming out of college. But on this slate, there's just so many options, and like price wise, Dylan Harper's the same price. I've talked about Lonzo Ball, all these other value guys. Khalil Ware's $100 cheaper. So if you're doing like a 150 build, Walsh is fine, but he's probably not a guy I'm doing any more than until like 50 lineups probably.
Christy, Giddey or Brunson FanDuel tournaments? Giddey or Brunson?
Ooh, I'm probably going Brunson. I play a lot of Brunson, and I just like his upside. I do like both, but I would go Brunson.
I just realized this game locked. What would you have said, Kyle? Vassell or Jaime Jaquez FanDuel tournaments? I guess Miami just locked Vassell or Jaquez. I prefer Jaquez.
I do like Vassell as a tournament play, but Jaquez is a really good place, and I actually am looking at him in like the maybe double-double or triple-double market tonight. So, Jaquez, I'll go with him there.
We're at lock. Does anybody have any I'm going to throw a curveball. And are we betting this boxing exhibit? That's happening tonight, right?
Yeah.
Should I be betting on Jake Paul? He's like plus 650 or something. Isn't he just supposed to win? Like, don't they make sure he wins? Is that
he's fighting an actual boxer this time.
I'm confused. I got genuinely he's fighting somebody like legit. And he's not like 70, right? He's like relatively in fighting age. The guy he's fighting tonight, Kyle?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know much about boxing, but from what I have seen, like Anthony Joshua was one of the better boxers, or at least not too far removed from that. And I guess the closest comparison I would have to it is like maybe McGregor and Floyd Mayweather when they fought, and like the odds were really insane. So yeah, I've been seeing people saying like Joshua should be like, Jake Paul should be like 100 to 1 here. Like that's how crazy.
That's what I'm hearing too. But
I think that's probably a bit much. Yeah. But yeah,
I have no idea. I also know nothing. Christy, do you know anything about this? Do you care about this?
I don't. Nope. I really don't. I can't add much to this.
I'm just hoping for a chance to make some. What do you got?
28-4, Anthony Joshua. 25 wins by KO.
And he's like 35 or something.
36, 6'6". He should destroy Jake Paul.
So why is Jake Paul doing this?
Because he wants to finally fight someone. Although,
what happens?
This is like a big jump.
Like if he gets crushed in the first round, and then where does he go from there? Like then the machine stops, or I'm just confused why he would pick it. He handpicks his opponents. I just don't know why he would pick this guy.
I agree. I don't know why.
I don't understand.
He's such a high caliber opponent from everyone else he's fought.
Yeah. Okay. Just the chat's throwing out some thoughts there, and they're saying Joshua might be washed. Again, I have no clue. I don't follow boxing basically at all. But all right, enjoy your basketball, enjoy your boxing, enjoy the football. Football, 9:30 in the morning. We're gonna be doing some football shows. There's gonna be some content, of course, on the site for. We got some Saturday football, 2-gamer tomorrow as well. So enjoy your weekend. That was Kyle. That was Christy. That was producer Steve. I was Dean. Hit that like button on your way out. We're out of here. Oh.